Welcome to Not So Silent. We think we are right. I wouldn't bet on it. We got a lot today, July 30th. A lot of updates coming in, a lot of news. Today on today's show, we're going to go through COVID, school, and sports updates. I think our world is taking crazy pills. Prognostication Station for the Vice President nod and the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the finishing in 2020. We got some serious or satire. Our top 5 new Olympic sports. What sports do Chris, Sean, and I want to see? On today's show is brought to you by Six Kids Construction. Six Kids Construction specializes in interior and exterior painting and remodeling. Thinking of selling your home to get out of your school district into one that has in-person schools? Well, good luck finding one in the country. But if you can, great. Think of the curb appeal that a new paint job would give you. If you're in the St. Louis area and you're looking to spruce up the exterior or interior of your home with a paint job, look up the number 6kidsconstruction.com. That's 6kidsconstruction.com. If you are watching this on YouTube, please leave us some comments, give us some feedback on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher. Please follow us. And if you would like to talk to us directly, add us at Not So Silent Pod, at Not So Silent Pod. All right, so today I am coming to you from Chicago. I'm Taylor Duncan, your host. I got hosts Sean Phelps and Chris Hertigan. Sean is in Kansas City. Chris is in the St. Louis area. We have a lot going on. I don't know what the hell is going on in this world, but we'll go through some COVID updates, school updates. As I'm telling you guys, I am fired up beyond belief. This week has not been a good week in the Duncan household. COVID is striking fast and hard, and it's blowing my mind. This week, my school district just announced, after an overwhelming majority of parents had asked to go back to school 5 days a week, we were just told we are going to do a 2-day-a-week hybrid model. So my kids are going to now go to school 2 days a week. And from what we understand, there really looks like they're setting us up to cancel school altogether and do remote distance learning.
Oh, yeah.
On top of that, our governor here in the horrible state of Illinois just yesterday destroyed every kid from the age of 15 to 18 years old hopes of having some fun in the fall, and basically canceled just about every single sport except for baseball. Football got crushed, soccer got crushed, and basketball. However, it looks like they are going to be starting things up November 15th, ironically, right after the election. So I don't know what you guys think is going on. I'd love to hear what's going on in your school districts, what school updates you guys have going on, because I think this is crazy.
I would also love to hear what is going on in my school district, and I don't know. We have no idea. We were told school starts August 12th. We're pushing it back to August 17th. Then our governor came out in Kansas and said no schools starting until after Labor Day. Our school district went and had a bunch of meetings. There's been board meetings. There's been community meetings. I know, Chris, you've been to some of the meetings in your area. And we still don't have a date. We don't have an official date when school starts. Any of the websites, any of the schools' outward-facing communications just say, here's a couple of different plans we have. Option 1 is like a hybrid type deal. Option 2 is remote only. And we don't really know which one we're going to have or when it's going to start. So if you know, let me know, because I have no idea.
Well, one thing that's difficult to figure out is who is making this decision. And it's these like intergovernmental level people. It's tough to figure out who's on your side and who isn't. I just recently found out our principal of our school is really trying to angle for full-time in school. But politically, it's very, very challenging. There's a lot of pressure from the teachers' unions. And there's this, like, I couldn't even tell you the title of this guy. It's not the governor, because the governor of our state is in favor of 5 days a week in school. It's this other guy who was elected to a position, but then he got this other position because one guy got thrown in jail. So he wasn't even elected to the position he's in, where he's making this decision. And, well, first of all, what's ironic is he's Republican. And I'm surprised he's making this decision and forcing the schools to go virtual. By the way, the schools that said they're even doing a hybrid, Taylor, have now just recently said around our district they're going 100% virtual. So that is coming. look, at its core, I think we have underlying issues of, do you believe in individual responsibility or not? Do you believe in personal, weighing out your personal risk as an individual versus the government mandating it? And I find that the liberals in this country, they'll want fascism when it comes to wearing masks. Oh, we want a government mandate. But then with other things, they when the government intervenes, they cry fascism, and they try to have it both ways. So I think at its core, it's a teachers union issue. I think they have a lot more power than the parents. And we just have no weight to throw around. We're going to pay our taxes. We have no choice. School's going to get paid no matter what. My understanding is some class action lawsuits are being formed. I know Trump has floated in the next stimulus bill, giving a $10,000 voucher to parents who have to pay for daycare. The other issue at stake is short-term versus long-term. You got a party who wants everything now, and they don't think anything long-term, or at least they pick and choose, right? They'll cry about the science of environmental issues and go, you got to believe in the science. So we got to help the environment now. But then you take something like this, where the science is backing until you got some stats to back this up. Kids need to be back in school, but they're saying, well, we don't believe in that science. They're picking and choosing.
Let me add a little bit of color to the science and some stuff. So as you know, the CDC director, Robert Redfield, came out and said, and I quote, but I think it's important because what that means, he's talking about the fatality rate for people under the age of 18 with COVID. What I think that means actually is the risk per 100,000 so far, into the outbreak, 6 months into it, is in fact that we're looking about 0.1 per 100,000. So another way to say that, it's 1 in a million, Redfield said in reference to the death rate among children. And then back to a quote of his. I'm not trying to belittle that. I'm just trying to make sure we all look at it proportionally. Because if you do the same thing for influenza deaths for school-age children over the last 5 years, there are anywhere from 5 to 10 times greater. And hang on, he also goes on to say, and obviously influenza, we also benefit from having therapy and a vaccine. This is the CDC director saying that essentially 5 to 10 times greater death rate from the flu, and that's with 50% of kids being vaccinated. So if you don't vaccinate anyone, couldn't you make an assumption that double, because about half kids get vaccinated? It's about double. So we're talking 10 to 20 times the death rate of influenza for children at the age of 18. On top of that, he said get them in school because the risks of suicide, depression are much higher, and the numbers are much, much higher. Drugs, suicide, flu, all worse. This is the CDC director, the director of the CDC. Thank God he has 11 grandchildren, and he's thinking about his grandchildren. Let me go further. Just to show you how political and hypocritical this is, the Washington Post, which you guys all know is a crazy, left-wing surrogate. In an article, July 26th, they go on to blame the Trump administration and the White House for why we can't start schools, and they're trying to push our kids into death. However, if you were to look back on March 27th, right when COVID started, and they, for some reason, decided to not think about this as a political issue, they wrote an article where they describe how detrimental e-learning is going to be. And what they showed was e-learning followed up with the summer is going to be disastrous for these kids, because they never, in March 27th, assumed this would carry into the fall. They said summer following third grade, students lose 20% of their reading and 27% of their math. That study's done on millions of kids prior to e-learning. That was just regular learning. Following third grade, you lose 20% of reading, 27% of math. Following seventh grade, 36% of reading, 50% of math. That's not with a spring and fall of online learning. How stupid is this generation going to be? How antisocial is this generation going to be? How OCD is this generation going to be? How fearful, and how big is the depression and suicide rates going to be with children who are school age right now?
I've gotten in a lot of Facebook arguments. Let me give you the top 3 arguments that I hear that are asinine in my opinion, but let me see how you guys respond. Well, you don't care if people die. The teachers' lives are at risk. Like, we don't ask you to risk your life. And what about grandparents? You just don't care if those people die.
I'm anti-death. I'm going to go on this podcast, which will be saved on YouTube. I am anti-death.
It's a bold,
so just so everyone is aware.
Bold statement.
Yep.
Okay, find me a grandparent who says, I want to legislate every single kid out of the public school because I don't want to quarantine myself because I'm old and at risk. I want my kids to suffer in their education. Yeah, I've lived 80 years. They've lived like 7, but screw them. I need the best next 6 years of my life. Find me a grandparent that says that. Like, and if so, fine, write me out of the will. Screw you. And teachers. I don't know if you have the stats on hand for people under age 50, but it's like, look, we can provide a provision for teachers that are at risk or have underlying health conditions. We can find a solution for those anecdotes without legislating out the entire student body, right?
This isn't hard to me. You're at-risk teachers. You do the e-learning option. Every student has a choice of doing e-learning or in-person. If for some reason you're sick, you move to the e-learning. If not, you stay in class. I even went further and said, look, you really want to protect the teachers? Why not? I got a perfect solution. Teachers are online, kids are sitting in the classroom, and you hire a bunch of 21-year-old, juniors in college or seniors in college to be moderators in the classroom, to be student teachers in the classroom. In fact, my wife even said, how about you get a mom? I'll volunteer my time to go to my kid's class twice a week to be the moderator, where I get the kids to do the stuff. I mean, I have 2 kindergarten girls. What are they going to do this year? They're not going to learn anything. I
will let every kid in that elementary school cough in my face if they would let my kids in school 5 days a week.
And that's the risk I'm willing to take. I'll let them lick my forehead.
And, in the private sector, we do risk this every day. So don't tell me we're not risking. Okay, here's another one I hear. You need to walk a day in a teacher's shoes. You don't know how hard it is to be a teacher. Like, we are so underappreciated. Like, you have no idea how hard we're working and how hard the online teaching is for us.
Oh my gosh. I actually just read yesterday, Outkick the Coverage, which I love. It's a great podcast. Everyone should go listen to it. There's some free advertising for Clay Travis and Jason Whitlock. But I just read a anonymous mailbag from a teacher, a stats teacher, who went on to say that he thinks kids should be in school, but he doesn't want to say anything because he's going to get shouted down from all of his peers. Uh-huh. But he even put in there, he goes, all of these teachers saying e-learning is harder. They're either they don't know how to do a lesson plan or they're lying. He said, I work from my cell phone, my computer while I'm camping.
Yep.
This is
here's the next one. Teaching is not daycare. You're so entitled. You're not supposed to rely on the teachers for the entire education. You're supposed to be a part of the education. You're so entitled that you don't want to help your kids with their school. Teaching is not daycare.
Yeah, it is. Actually,
yes, it is. That's a part of it. Absolutely, it is.
We've built our country with that foundation of you send your kids to school, you go to work. This was all part of the liberal movement of both parents working. That was the liberal movement. Get the women out so that they could go work. You want to go back to the 50s where one parent, namely in the 50s, the wife, stayed at home and taught the kids. I guess we can go to that, but that's going to change what we've tried for 70 years to get out of.
Well, and how about the fact that parents work so they can pay taxes and taxes pay your salary? So there's another one of those, this might feel good in the short term, but wait till they start cutting the extras, the non-essentials. I've got a brother-in-law who's a gym teacher, and he has no clue that he's going to be the first one to get cut. Let's see how he feels then, right? And look, I get it. Teaching is important. I love my teachers. Some people are born to teach. We also live in a meritocracy, right? And this is a really unpopular take. I know plenty of teachers who screwed around in college, failed in the private sector, don't know how to work a day in their life, and their fallback their fallback plan was to become a teacher. I know plenty of people like that. It's look, you knew what you were getting into. You knew the pay scale. You see the 20 years of it when you sign up. This is what you're getting. So don't tell me you don't know what you're getting into. If you want to go out and hustle and grind, like a salesperson, you can make more money, but you're paid according to what you're worth. I don't want to hear this crap, right? And we're not getting paid to watch our kids like you'd get paid to watch our kids. It's nothing to do with a lack of appreciation for what you do. There are great teachers that deserve our appreciation, and we do. We give them gifts on holidays. We write them nice letters, right? But nobody's writing me a freaking letter when I do a sale and I risk COVID, right? So I don't want to hear that crap. It's just such a straw man argument. Anyway.
All right. So I'm fired up. I don't know. I don't always agree with everything the CDC says, but when they keep telling me to listen to the experts, I'm listening. CDC says get our kids in school. The American Association of Pediatrics says get our kids in school. And then you tell me my kid's not going to school. I don't get it. I don't get it, and I'm angry. The sad thing is, I like to be solution focused. There is no solution. What am I supposed to do? Just send my kid to school? I'm just going to send my son to school. Unfortunately, he'll be the only one there. I mean, it's like, what can I do? I just have to live with this decision, but it's going to crush my kids. All 5 of them are going to be stuck with the worst education, everything else. So I'm doing everything I can, but it's frustrating to me, like really, really frustrating. But I am doing everything I can do to, also on top of it is youth sports. Youth soccer got cut, which I don't care. I don't really care about soccer. Youth football, done, at least in my state. Everything is being shut down. Youth basketball is considered moderate risk, so at least for the time being, can't do any of that. So all we can do is baseball. So everyone in my town, starting yesterday at about 10 a.m., started scrambling to get their kids into fall baseball. I mean, it's like because it's the only thing our kids are allowed to do. I mean, it's remarkable. So I am, I'm pissed. And if you think I'm not looking into moving, you would be wrong, because I'm just done with the state of Illinois. And the arguments. Look, we're running out of time, so let's move on. Sports updates. I'm going to pass it off to Sean. There have been a lot of sports updates. As you know, baseball has begun and so on. So, Sean, take it away.
Yeah, so we got a big news of opt-outs in the NFL. So would you opt out? So here's the rule. If you're a high-risk NFL player, meaning you've got some health reason that you could be at risk for being exposed to COVID, you can opt out of your NFL contract and you can take $350,000 a year and wait until next year to fulfill. My understanding is that if you're in like a 4-year deal and you're in year 2, then next year you're still in year 2 of your deal. So it does slow you down from getting like free agency, getting to that next big contract. You get a guaranteed payday. If you're not at risk, you're looking at about $150,000 to sit at home and do nothing for the year. We've got 6 Patriot players that have opted out, some big-time players on their defense, Patrick Chung and Dante Hightower. And you're starting to see it spread more and more throughout the NFL, players opting out for the upcoming season. So how do you guys feel about the opt-out in the NFL?
I'm shocked people are opting out, especially in a sport that has such a short window to make your money and play. I do understand. I saw it with Nate Bolden, I think. He's an offensive lineman for the Giants.
Nate Solder.
What'd you say?
Nate Solder.
Okay, sorry. He had cancer and his son is sick or something. I totally get that. I think if it's extreme, I don't know what these other guys' conditions are, so I can't really speak to Patrick Chung specifically. Maybe he, cares for his elderly grandmother or something like that, and she has COPD. I'm not really certain of all of them, but if you're asking me in my current situation, if I would go and play, absolutely. I wouldn't think twice. And a lot of these guys technically might fall in the obese category because of their weight to their height on a BMI scale. So, but yeah, I would absolutely go play.
And some of these guys might think, I might not make the team this year. They drafted a few players at my position. I can take a guaranteed payday and train for a full year. I mean, it's a pretty physically damaging sport.
Get healthy. There's no tread on the tire. You could say it's age that ages you out, or you could say it's the tread, right? So you're saving the tread on the tires, so to speak, but you're also out of football shape for a year.
I wonder how many of these people are talking to the people in the know who understand that this year is going to be a mess of a year anyway. Why risk injury for this year? Because don't they get per game checks? And so what if you end up putting your body through all that physical challenge and your salary comes per game, but you're going to lose 2 games due to COVID because your team or the other team has an outbreak and it shuts it down. So why go through training camp and risk all of that injury when there's a 50-50 shot that you only make a third of your salary anyway?
How are they going to have a 53-man team ready to go every Sunday when you already have a bunch of players opting out, when it wasn't a popular thing to do? Nobody thought NFL players would opt out. They thought the money was too good and that this opt-out money wouldn't be enough to entice them to want to opt out. And a bunch have, and more are jumping on that bandwagon. When you couple that with the injuries that are already going to be occurring, the fact that all the rookies this year are going to be underprepared to play for their teams, even just learning the offense and learning the defense, they haven't been able to do in the offseason programs that they normally had. So how are they going to even put a team out there?
Hot take.
It's going to be a mess.
Hot take. These guys are opting out because they actually wanted to stand for the anthem, but they thought that they would get in too much trouble for it. So it's just easier to opt out for the season.
You know, I think it's all strategic. There's so many factors that go into it, depending on your age, your contract. Because you can make an argument that, like, you want to play maybe against lesser competition, get your numbers, padded a bit more than might normally be padded, and that might set you up for a better contract year the next year potentially. You got Damian Williams in Kansas City, and I got to wonder, they got that Clyde Edward-Helaire coming up, and he's probably thinking, like, I finished with a bang the last season. This new rookie, like, everyone thinks he's going to take over my role. Maybe he's like, save the tread and get a trade for the following year. And, he finished on a high note.
In the MLB, just came out, they're discussing moving, while in their current 60-game season that they just figured out, moving to 7-inning doubleheader games.
Oh, my gosh.
Have you heard about this, Taylor?
I think you got to do less games, but keep 9 innings. I don't know if you can.
Here's the problem. Look what the Marlins have tested 18 people. So they've had an outbreak. Here's what happens. This is my fear with schools even. When they have an outbreak like this, what it does is the Marlins shut down, and you don't think, well, whatever, 1 out of 30 teams will just move on with our 29. The problem is the Marlins are on other teams' schedules. Yeah. So how do you accommodate for one team that doesn't have to play this week because they were supposed to play the Marlins, and another team who's playing the Cubs because no one's sick? It's such a mess.
I mean, I think for football, they've got to change roster limits or what. I mean, look, you're going to find players that want to play. Quality of play, quality of the game might not be as good. There's somebody who wants to play, right? So I don't think there's any challenge in finding people to play. It's just like tough shake.
Well, and baseball has a massive minor league system to be able to find those guys. The NFL doesn't have that. I think the real winners of this year's MLB season are the Houston Astros.
Oh, yeah, except Joe Kelly was throwing at their heads. He actually got an 8-game suspension.
But that's the first time you've heard of anything about it in 6 months. But that coming into the season, that was the big thing, that they're going to just get destroyed this season. And everybody's going to be throwing at them. Everybody's going to play nasty when they're playing the Stros. And it kind of got forgotten about with.
Yeah.
I mean, all I keep hearing about is the, Black Lives Matters being lambasted on every court, every jersey, every whatever is outrageous. So that's all I heard about. I still have yet to really hear about baseball. Like, has anyone hit a home run or thrown a 90?
I don't watch it anymore. I don't support what they're doing social justice wise, so I don't watch it anymore.
I mean, it's you cannot find reporting on baseball. You can find reporting on either COVID problems or social justice, but there's nothing on baseball anymore. No. And it's disappointing. So,
well, that brings us to our dad joke of the week, which is a sports-related dad joke, segueing us into the fun part of the podcast. Did you guys hear about Bears coach Matt Nagy?
No.
He was spotted destroying a vending machine in Chicago this week. And some fans caught it on video. I mean, he's beating the crap out of this vending machine. And the fans stopped him and said, "What are you doing, man? What's wrong?" And he just turned around crying into the camera, "I need my fucking quarterback."
Got it. I got it. Good. All right. Well, all right. So in other news, to rip on the Green Bay Packers, hot take, did you hear about Aaron Rodgers, who came out and said his time is likely done with the Packers? Not necessarily right away, but the days are numbered.
Yeah, come on. I mean, that's old news. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Brett Favre all played for a different team. Even Drew Brees has not been a New Orleans Saint for his entire life.
But Jordan Love is not Aaron Rodgers. I think you guys are making a big mistake.
So here's my question. how much do you think the Bears contract for Aaron Rodgers is going to be worth?
Probably about the Jimmy Graham contract.
Or the Julius Peppers contract who went to the Packers. I mean, they've swapped players a few times in the last decade or two.
Yeah, way to pay Graham.
Can Green wait? How does the trade work with that? Can Green Bay? They can decide not to give him to the Bears, right? Or like, how much does Rodgers have a say in that, right?
No say.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah,
Rodgers.
so he's not going to the Bears. There's no chance. Yeah.
No, he'd have to be released. He's got 4 years left on his deal. That's what the length of Jordan Love's rookie contract is. I think they're working out perfectly. I think they're gonna get the last 2-3 good years out of Rodgers, and when he's either hurt or is deteriorated,
he's done after this year. He's out after this year. Going to the Chargers, or he's going to Oakland, or he's going to the Patriots.
They're going to have just enough time with Jordan Love to lock him up to another 4 or 5 year deal, way cheaper than the Patrick Mahomes special of $500 million, and then buying the Kansas City Royals or a portion of the Royals. And Mahomes, that's another big sports news item of the week. Way to reinvest in your hometown community. It's another thing. He looks up to Rodgers. Rodgers bought into the Bucks with a lot of his money and is seen at Milwaukee Bucks games chugging beers constantly. And you got Mahomes now investing in the Royals. I do love that.
Good move.
I do too. I thought that was awesome, except I would not want to live in either Milwaukee or Kansas City for the long haul. So bad choices of destinations. But I do
more so than Chicago. I take Kansas City over Chicago.
Yeah, let's go ahead and prognosticate on where Taylor's going to live for the next 45 minutes of the show.
Chris, what you basically just said was you would prefer to live in Ghana over Raqqa, Syria. Like, I got it. Chicago sucks. It's as bad as anywhere in the country, I understand, except for New York and California. So that's why this place is.
That's super racist. I mean, you know about the international conflict between the Ghanaians and the Syrians, right? So I mean, I'm just surprised you're going to international waters there. I'm an expert on this stuff, so let's not go down that rabbit hole. I don't want to bore you with statistics and information.
Yeah, you're tiptoeing dangerously.
All right. So our prognostication station, where we tell you all of the things that we are 100% certain that are going to happen. Maybe 60% of the time we're right every time. So who is going to be the VP nod? Who's going to get the VP nod from Joe Biden? This is going to be the hot topic here coming up in just a couple of days. And who is going to get the VP nod for Joe Biden?
Well, if you go to Predict It's my favorite political betting site. I wager quite a bit on Predict It. Kamala Harris is favored right now. To win $1, you got to bet 56 cents. Susan Rice coming in at 25 cents. And then you got Karen Bass, Elizabeth Warren, Tammy Duckworth, Val Demings, Gretchen Whitmer. I think we got to go down to 1 cent bets to find a male. So we know it's not a man. It's definitely going to be a woman. And those are your options. But it looks like despite the news about Kamala Harris and people trying to take her down, she's still most favored.
Well, did you see the most recent article that predicted Kamala Harris based on Joe Biden was giving a speech? He had a sheet of paper that had stuff on Kamala Harris all written on it. And someone had a picture of it, zoomed in, saw Kamala Harris, and had like his bullet points to talk about why she's so amazing. So therefore, they assume Kamala Harris is going to get the nod. I think she will get the nod. She's sort of been that front-runner candidate.
I disagree.
So Chris?
I disagree. Val Demings. Why Val Demings? Well,
actually, can we real fast just act like I'm asking for a friend? Who's Val Demings?
She's representative of Florida, right? So she's African American, she's female, and she's in one of the only swing states. And so look, none of the picks really matter. Nobody really cares. He's going to go with a safe pick. Now, Susan Rice, he has the best relationship with. I think he's the most comfortable with, but it's not going to win him any votes in any swing states. But Val Demings is the top candidate from a state that, man, if he won, that's it. I would say Tammy Baldwin from Wisconsin, but she's white. So he's already pigeonholed himself into an African-American female candidate, I think.
So a couple of side notes. Number one, Trump, who won, chose a guy out of Indiana, not a swing state. Barack, who had won, had a guy out of Delaware, also not a swing state. So we always played this. And then and he was running against, what was it, the governor of Alaska, who was the VP, for McCain.
Yeah.
So at some point, we always, the prognostication is always he's going to pick a person from a state he's trying to win, and yet they rarely ever seem to. So I think that's just, makes it's a good thought, but it doesn't seem to actually happen.
Well, no, I think Obama chose Biden because he wanted to connect with the middle of the road centrist voters, right? So it wasn't that he was just trying to win a state so much as like a class of voters, right? I think with McCain, it was like he was looking for a long shot that people couldn't attack, a mother of like 4 or 5, a child with disabilities, yet the left still ripped her apart and made her out to be a horrible person. So that didn't work. That was just a long shot because he had no chance of winning. So no, I do think when you're looking at winning contingencies of voters, he's got to cave to the woke left. And I do think this is a scenario where he's going to try to pull it from Florida. I do.
Is it crazy that and maybe this is because I'm a white male, and I'll be the first to admit that that's possible. Doesn't this fall under discrimination? That when you're it's been pretty clear that he is discriminating against men and against whites, and he's going to choose a black female. Now, he's being forced into doing so, but it kind of feels like there was a discrimination against an open, I'm going to look at all candidates, and instead it's, I'm going to choose a woman, and I'm going to choose a African-American woman because I'm kind of being forced to.
And this situation, I call that, I think that's just politics, right? He realizes he needs to do something to pick something to get the attention off of him, frankly. He's not an amazing speaker or amazing candidate or great.
No, or he's not.
Neither is Kamala. Kamala is like Hillary 2.0. She just grates on people. She had a little bit of a run there, but like, man, the more she talked, the more people disliked her. I don't think she's going to get picked.
Yeah,
Chris, I went ahead and threw $2 on Val Demings to win 50. So I'll have to send you a couple bucks.
You're welcome.
Ooh, I like that. So even though I say I wouldn't bet on us, you have chosen to bet on us.
Well, I went ahead and placed the bet. A big $2. I will not be able to afford a Rockstar energy drink tomorrow to start my day. I'm just going to have to just go with straight water or coffee. So.
All right. So I go Camilla, Chris goes Val Demings, and Sean?
I got no idea. I mean, I started betting on it real early. At one point, I put a couple bucks on Cuomo, Yang. I've struck out so many times. So I bet on Val now, so she's probably not going to get it. I haven't bet on Elizabeth Warren, so I guess Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, Pocahontas. Good choice. All right. So here's a new spin. Who would you want to be president in 2024? 2024. Who's going to be the next Donald Trump?
Let's curve it a little bit. Who would be a shocking but possible president in 2024?
Patrick Mahomes.
Well, he's got a job. He's got a job. So who do you think?
2024, I could see LeBron James, which would frustrate me to no end.
I think LeBron's also going to still be employed at that point.
No, he wouldn't survive. With his defense of China, he wouldn't survive.
No, really? Look, the entire left is defending China, and it doesn't seem to matter.
That's true.
They're coming out now. John Oliver just did his whole show on China and the Uyghurs. We'll talk about that next week.
I don't know if it's an outside picking up, but Crenshaw, I could see potentially.
Okay. All right. Why don't you educate our listeners as to who Crenshaw is?
The one-eyed guy who got in the argument with SNL Pete Davidson. That's probably how our leftist viewers will which we have not will know him. Our right-wing viewers already know who we're talking about. But he's brought that out. He's intelligent. He's logical. He's more of a statesman, and the guy's got one eye. So it's like
Yeah, but he's not. This is not a left field. Sean's asking
it's
wild and crazy left field. I say, how about Howard Schultz for the left? For the Democratic side, as much.
No way it's going to be a white guy.
I was going to say, no. That's what we said about this one. No way is it going to be white and male. And sure enough, look what we finished with. The white
male. You know what? Okay, outside of the box, Morgan Freeman. The Democrats use him for all their commercials to narrate them. I mean, it doesn't matter what he says. You're like, I think that probably makes sense.
I could totally go for a Morgan Freeman on the left versus Denzel on the right.
Denzel?
Oh God. I would take. Is Denzel on the right? I don't know.
I don't know about officially, but he has a lot of conservative leaning.
He's one of those guys that like just doesn't say crap. He's like the Michael Jordan of acting, right? Like, I don't know where he stands. I don't know if I want to know because everything he makes is either good or great.
Well, I'll tell you, Politico in their 2024 projections had AOC as a possible candidate on the left. Could you imagine?
Oh my gosh, I just threw up in my mouth. Oh my gosh.
So we know where she stands. So you don't know where Denzel is, but I think we're all pretty clear on how socialist, or actually probably communist, you can consider AOC. So.
All right. So prognosticate on the stock market, which has been going wild and crazy, up, down, and shockingly enough, it is still up. So just to put a little, what will the Dow Jones Industrial Average be on January 1st? And just to help you with some color here, and I want everyone to be thinking about what will it be. The high so far this year, we got up to just shy of 30,000, 29.5. It's currently around 26.2. And that was the high was in mid-February. In late March, we had gotten under 20,000. We were headed, I think it was around 18.5 or so. We're at 26.2 right now. So where will the Dow be January 1st?
28.
24.
Why do you say those? And then I'll give you my pick.
Go ahead, Chris.
No matter who, so first of all, the fourth quarter doesn't always bode well for the stock markets. I don't think it's going to hit a high. I do think we have things in place that will get it to hover back around 28 and may even get up to 30 at one point. But with a newly elected president, I think people are going to hold until they see what happens. I don't think they're going to be moving a lot of money around. So I'm kind of splitting the difference of like, it's not going to be at the high. I don't think it's going to drop down dramatically because I see a few things offsetting. I see if Trump's elected, his policies have done well for the stock market, but the Democrats are still going to try to damage everything in the country because they hate Trump. Biden's elected, they're going to release the reins temporarily. But that being said, Democratic policies fiscally are not great for business. So I see those kind of offsetting. I'm just kind of choosing the middle of the road 28.
Sean?
Well, I think there's pumping so much money into the stock market this year. It shouldn't be where it is right now. It's a totally inflated number. We got stimulus 2.0 coming up soon. That's going to keep things going okay for a little while, but at some point, the bottom's going to fall out for a lot of businesses. And there's been a lot of businesses that have already gone bankrupt. I think there'll be some big winners. I mean, I think you could see a Tesla or an Apple or an Amazon or some of these tech companies at Google do really well, but there's going to be some massive losers, some big-time losers. So take a look at McDonald's. McDonald's is closing 200 locations this year. Dunkin' Donuts is closing 450 locations. Starbucks is closing 400 locations. 60% of the restaurants that temporarily closed during COVID are permanently closing, according to a Yelp research report. And then on the McDonald's stuff, their Q2 income fell 68%. Same-store sales fell 24%, and revenue fell 30%. And that's, I mean, they're kind of a big American business, right? A big traditional American business. I thought McDonald's would actually do well in COVID because you're not going out to eat, but I still drive through. I've probably gone to McDonald's more in the last couple months than I had in the 2 months prior to that.
Sean, it's the camera that's adding 10 pounds. Don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of businesses, not just them, that are going to have major consequences. Just drive around your town right now and look at commercial space and look at the amount of places that have signs up saying, leasing commercial space. The commercial real estate market is getting hammered. And I think we're going to have to pay the bill eventually. So, I've heard people say that the stimulus was handled really well. I've heard Democrats say that Trump actually did that, saving the economy during the pandemic and putting it on life support. There were some good things that were done there. But we are going to have to pay the bill eventually. And especially with another round of funding pumped in, I could see it staying at 24. I'm saying 24 is still overvalued. Like it should be at like 18,000 January 1st.
Yeah.
Because of the money that's being pumped into it, it'll survive. And it's going to take a little while to recover. And in the recovery over the next 10 years, it's going to be a lot of tech companies and businesses that don't require the expensive real estate costs of commercial real estate. And you're going to see a major correction due to commercial real estate. That's my prediction.
And I say 22. So, right. And just for interest of time, let's move on. Serious or satire? Chris and Sean, hopefully you guys have something ready.
I'll start us off with a new race of brown-skinned entities, so to speak, in Washington State, doing a silent march. A group of bison marching through Washington State neighborhoods for 3 days. Nobody knows what they're protesting. They haven't said a word about it, but they do fall in the intersectional pattern of non-white entities that appear to be protesting. Serious or satire?
Satire.
Yeah, I'm going to go satire.
It's serious.
No,
I heard of Buffalo. We're wandering through neighborhoods in Washington State for 3 days before being herded and rounded up and moved in a different direction.
I'm surprised that people in Seattle would get rid of them. I think they would move their houses and say, "Sorry, Buffalo, we didn't know this was yours. We'll get out of here now."
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they noticed for 3 days because they couldn't tell if the shit in the streets was from the homeless people or the bison. So, bison leave less needles around. So, I mean,
what else we got?
Okay, next we got. There are reports that Portland police officers have been giving tear gas to citizens since they're no longer allowed to use it, but giving it to citizens to protect themselves from rioters.
Serious.
Satire.
That wouldn't have, I mean, it sounded crazy, but I was like, I don't know. It's Portland, man.
Okay, and then a Airbnb record for illegal occupants on a premises. There was a party of over 700 people at an Airbnb rental in New Jersey this past weekend. Only 3 arrests made, though.
Serious.
Satire.
It is serious.
What? Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I've never even been to a party that big, period, like a house party. I mean,
I've never been to a wedding that big.
You think people are hungry to stop social distancing or what? Jeez.
You know what? To go off of that real fast, everyone, I want you to think about something, then we're going to move on. Sweden did very little governmental control. They did a lot of education and told people to be responsible, stay away, social distance, stuff like that. And what they found was people did it. Here, the lockdowns were incredibly severe. Everyone was being shamed if you didn't.
Save it for next week, Taylor. All right, Chris. Nevada church avoids coronavirus restrictions by installing slot machines.
That's satire.
Dang it. That is satire. I thought it was a great move, though. I mean, it sounds like a smart strategy. And then the last one, 71-year-old Utah man dies while in line for COVID testing.
I'm going to go serious.
Satire.
That is serious. Yeah, they told him it would be like a 45-minute wait, and they came back to roll down his window, and he had passed. So
he's probably listed as a COVID death as well, I'm assuming.
Oh, you got to assume that. I'm sure
100%.
Like a little testing swab in there. While you're here, let's just make sure. All right. Let's get to the top 5.
All right, so let's go into our top 5. So top 5, we are going to go through, since we don't actually have the Olympics this year, we have an extra year to come up with some sports that we think need to be added to the Olympics. So we'll go through our top 5 new Olympic sports. I came up with some good ones. I think they're pretty good. And so I will start. We will go Chris, Taylor, Sean.
All right. Number 5 for me. I want a battle of the minds. It's all physical in the Olympics, but I want a good old-fashioned high school debate. Let's get people from different countries arguing for and against communism, abortion. Should women be allowed to drive? I'd love to see Iran put forth their candidate to argue that, right? Like, how about which God is real? Only the Muslims would always lose by default because they just blow themselves up. But
All right. Well, Oh, thank God we don't have too many listeners.
Yeah.
All right. My number 5, American football. Not nearly as much fun as Chris's.
It's not going to work, though, with all the – I mean, the same reason the NBA players wouldn't play it, but I'd love to see it.
All right. So
I took it a little differently. So you've got like categories, right? So track and field, swimming, they all have multiple events. So my number 5 is extreme racing. I want to see an amazing race where they got to get across the globe. First person to the podium just can have the gold medal. I want to see a 100-miler with David Goggins just kicking every other country's ass. I want to see a double Ironman, and then some Tara Hamaru from Mexico running a 200-mile barefoot race. So just extreme races of all kinds.
So, Sean, that's 3 of your top 5. No cheating. All right. So
That's racing. That's just extreme distance racing.
those are not even similar
that's horse crap. That's
like calling.
Right.
That's like calling
swimming in the Olympics.
Can you block yourself? Because I don't have the power to do it.
Yeah,
That's just absolute horse crap. Like,
that's like
answer the question, you Democrat.
Number 4, Chris.
Number 4, I've got a more specific version of what you said. I'd like to see Tough Mudder.
Oh, see, that's a terrific one. And my number 4 kind of covers similar concept, CrossFit.
I love it. That's my number 2. Yeah.
So Tough Mudder, CrossFit, they're kind of
they're in the same vein. Yeah.
Well, expanding my top 25 list, number 4 is violent team sports.
Oh,
get out of here! You're so dumb. Like, what is wrong with you? I just chose 50% of the sports in the whole world. Like,
I don't even know about all these sports. There's 3.
Gosh, dude. Like, crocheting can be violent if you stab yourself with a little needle.
I
don't know
believe.
if you've ever watched Canadian broomball, but there's some pretty amazing broomball highlights out there.
In a few weeks, we'll have like a top 5 worst Sean Phelps top 5 picks. I'm writing them all down here. It's hard to pick.
Do you guys know what Bo Taoshi is?
No, but you're more than welcome to educate us if that's your number 2 pick.
We're still number 4 here. Bo Taoshi is pole toppling. So you got a team of 150 people with a pole.
That's badass. I've seen that. That is thrilling to watch. That is like incredible. And it looks like a scene out of Braveheart every time they go at it. Like, it's incredible, actually. That should just be one of the sports.
One more. This is the best one.
No, you already have given 7 sports. We're going too long here. My number 3 is disc golf. It's an everyman sport that people can relate to. They don't have time for regular.
That's a great sport.
I like disc golf.
Let me get back to the violent team sport that you don't know about.
Oh, my God.
Come on. It's called Calcio Storico, and it is an Italian form of soccer, 25 on 25, no helmets, no pads, that you can do anything. Punching, kicking. There have been multiple deaths. There have been multiple arrests. In one match, the police had to come in and break up the match, and 50 people went to court over the violence involved in this match.
Your list would be interesting if these were individual sports and you're not trying to squeeze 5 into your number 4.
I totally agree. And my number 3, any sport that involves your feet. I mean, come on, jeez. My number 3, and I will actually give you a little bit of an umbrella. Playing cards, poker, blackjack. There's playing cards.
Oh, I could get into that. An American going against other countries and Texas Hold'em or something. I can get into that.
Yeah, cool. There you go. So cards, not any sort of table game. Cards. All right, Chris, number 2.
My number 2 is CrossFit. Move on.
Sorry, Sean.
Number 3 was lumberjack sports.
All right, good. Chris, 2.
That was CrossFit. Move on.
All right. My number 2, I'm going to go with Ninja Warrior.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. I can get behind that. Oh, yeah.
All right. So, Sean, you're number 2.
Dodgeball.
Ooh.
Oh, I love that. Okay, that's a good pick.
You like dodgeball. All right, Chris, you're number 1. New Olympic.
Right. This one's legit serious, and it probably should really –
from the movie Dodgeball. I have to have the dodgeball announcers. As a bold strategy, Cotton.
Number 1, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. No reason for it not to be a sport. I thought MMA, too tough to have that many fights in a short period of time, too dangerous. But sport Jiu-Jitsu absolutely should and I think will be an Olympic sport.
Is it not?
It's not.
Wow.
I have the perfect Olympic sport. We've already got a setup. We know where to host it. We already have the Japanese versus the Americans. Anyone? It's hosted every single year, once a year.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Coney Island.
Coney Island, the hot dog eating contest, competitive eating. No?
Yeah, competitive eating. I'm in. And number one,
It's a little phallic for my taste, but okay.
arm wrestling.
Ooh.
Oh, baby. That's legit. Oh, yeah. Okay,
All right.
good top fives, except for Sean's first four.
Hold on. I've got a few honorable mentions.
No. Thank you for listening. Close us up, Taylor.
No, yep. So what a great day. We had a lot of stuff. Please give us any comments, any feedback. Like us on YouTube. Thumbs up, do the heart. Send us a tweet at Not So Silent Pod, at Not So Silent Pod. Check us out. Let us know what's going on. Thank you again to our sponsor, Six Kids Construction. If you're looking to paint your house, go to 6kidsconstruction.com, the number 6kidsconstruction.com. Today is July 30th. Can't wait to talk to you guys again. Bye.